assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. हरे कृष्णा। अभी नरसिंह आरती होगी, सब कोई कृपया अपने स्थान पर बैठ जाएं। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय। प्रहलाद लाददायिने। हिरण्यकशिपुर्वक्षः। सर्व विघ्न विनाशक श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्त श्रवण श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की। हरे कृष्णा। अभी यहाँ पर भगवद गीता में अंग्रेजी में प्रवचन होगा। जिनको भी यहाँ सुनना है कृपया अपने अपने स्थान पर बैठे रहें। हरे कृष्णा। देयर विल बी क्लास हियर ऑन भगवद गीता फ्रॉम 7:30 to 8:30 PM. So those who want to listen it, please be kindly seated. Hare Krishna.
कुंज बिहारी माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी तीर वनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जयो राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जयो श्री गोपाल जयो श्री गोपाल जयो गौरनिताय जयो गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जयो जयो गुरुदेव 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 गुरुदेव। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस ए भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की। इस्कॉन बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की। नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudhiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu नित्यं भागवत सेवया। भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांघ्रिये। So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse number 38. धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर् यथा दर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तेनिदमावृतम्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. But before that, we will take the word-to-word meaning. Dhumena, by smoke. Avriyate is covered. One knee, fire. Yatha, just as. Adarsha, mirror. Malena, by dust. Cha, also. Yatha, just as. Ulbena, by the womb. Avrita is covered. Garbha, embryo. Tatha, so. tena, by that, lust, idam, this, avritam, is covered. Translation. As fire is covered by the smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Purport. There are 3 degrees of covering of the living entity by which his pure consciousness is obscured. This covering is but lust under different manifestations like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and the womb about the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that the fire of the living spark can be a little perceived. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, he may be likened to the fire covered by smoke. Although fire is necessary where there is smoke, there is no overt manifestation of fire in the early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to a cleansing process of the mirror of the mind by so many spiritual methods. The best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position. For the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. This stage of living condition can be compared to that of the trees. The trees are also living entities, but they have been put in such a condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the birds and the beasts, and the smoke-covered fire is compared to the human being. In the form of a human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if he makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire, fire can be made to blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy, lust, by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So welcome everybody to today's Sunday evening class on Bhagavad Gita. As already said, we are on the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita entitled Karma Yoga, and we are on the 38th verse. Okay, so this verse is Dhumen avriyate vannir yatha darsho malena cha yathol ben avriyate garbhas tata tenidam avriyate. So before we start with today's verse, let us just take a brief review of what this chapter is all about and how does it build up to this particular verse. So we are on the third chapter, and this chapter opens with Arjuna's doubt. In the second chapter, Krishna has spoken at length to Arjuna, and now after whatever he has heard from Krishna, now Arjuna is having some doubt, and that doubt he is expressing in the very first verse. He says, if intelligence, that is jnana, is better than fruitive work, that is karma, then why should I be engaged in the work of killing my relatives? Because fighting a war, killing the relatives, because on the opposite side are his own cousins, and then his grandfather Bhishma, his guru Drona, he is reluctant to fight. So he says, what is the use of killing all these things? If I were to use my intelligence, then is it not I got a better way out? Can I not avoid the war? That is his doubt. Actually, in the second chapter, verse number 49, it says, what Krishna is telling Arjuna in that is, Durena yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddham sharanam anvicha kripana falahe tava. He says, O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy fruits of their work are misers. Here Arjuna is thinking, he says, those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So Arjuna is thinking, that is, you mean to say that by fighting this war and by winning over my enemies, I will ascend to the throne. We will become the king. So I am fighting this war to gain a kingdom. And you say that those who want to enjoy fruits of their work are misers. So you mean it is not a good thing to be doing that. But yet you are still telling me that you should fight. So he is confused. And again Krishna is telling Buddhi Yoga in the second chapter. That means use your intelligence. Buddhi means brain, your intelligence. So he says, you are telling me to use your intelligence, but you will not let me. You are telling me that I have to fight, and I don't want to fight. And Arjuna thought, karma is inferior. This actual fighting and doing all this laborious job is an inferior thing. Jnana recommends connecting one's intelligence to the Supreme Personality and renouncing work. Rise above all this donkey work. Gada majuri bolte hai na? Chhod do ye sab. Use your intelligence. Do smart work. So, now this is what he was thinking. But actually, both have to be used in conjunction. That is what Krishna is emphasizing. You've got to use your intelligence, and you also got to use your physical activity. Both are required. Work with intelligence linked to the Supreme. That is, your intelligence should not be in the worldly things. It should be in connection to God. That is what Krishna is emphasizing. Intelligence over there and work over here. That is how it should be. Connection to that upper level and work at the lower level. Shop level, floor level, we say na. Down to earth. That's what Krishna is telling. Work with intelligence linked to the Supreme. Do not artificially renounce work. Artificially, if you give it up, it will not help you. It will rebound. Nishkama karma is to work with knowledge and detachment. See, work with knowledge and detachment. So you must have the exact knowledge how to work, and how to work, that is given in the next word, detachment. Detachment means do not be attached to the results of your work. That is the meaning. So that is a little difficult thing to do. Jnana and Vairagya. These are the two things. There is a beautiful shloka in the Bhagavatam which also explains these two facts. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyoshu Vairagyam Jnanam Chatat Ahaitukam. The meaning of this is, what is the purpose of engaging in the devotional service of the Lord? Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. Prayojita means what is the use of it? He says, by doing that, what happens? Janayatya Ashu Vairagyam. Janayatya means immediately. What is born? Ashu means immediately. Janayatya means is taking birth, means it is presenting itself. Vairagyam means detachment. And Jnanam Chatat Ahaitukam, and also knowledge. So knowledge and detachment simultaneously come by simply connecting to the Lord. So this is the whole secret. And that is why Krishna is now telling Arjun, remain connected to the Lord, and at the same time utilize your God-given faculties in His service by discharging your duties. Vairagya protects one from material entanglement. This is also a very important point to be noted. Vairagyam means detachment. If you remain attached to the results of the action, again and again it ties you down to the material world. You are always in anxiety. What will happen? Will I succeed? Will I get the result? Will the outcome be favorable to me? These kind of thoughts will keep on coming you. It will interfere with the smooth working. The culmination of this process is bhakti. What is the meaning of bhakti? Bhakti means to work or to serve the Lord in love, not out of fear. To serve the Lord out of love. Mother loves the child. What does she do? She serves the child. Without any break, without any interruption, and without any expectation from the child. She is not telling the child, okay, now I will do everything for you. When you grow up, you have to return the favor. No. She is not doing that. So without any expectation, there is no attachment, there is detachment. But at the same time, the flow of service is uninterrupted. No matter what happens, however trouble she may have to take, she will not stop her service to the child. Why? It is born out of love. That is what Krishna is here suggesting. But it has to culminate in bhakti. That means loving service to the Lord. That is how one has to discharge one's duties. Offering one's detached work to Vishnu or Krishna. Let thy will be done, not my will. This is a famous statement from the Bible. Oh Lord, let thy will be done, not mine. That means we have to work in that consciousness. I want to work as an instrument in your hand, my Lord. That should be the idea. Utilize me as an instrument. I am not having any selfish motivation, what I want or what should happen. I am doing this, so I must get this result. No. I am doing this, offering myself as an instrument in your hand, and whatever is your plan, let that be worked out through me. Let me become an instrument in your hand. This is a very lofty ideal. Krishna, one moves from, so here this chapter is Karma Yoga. So how does this physical activity, connecting this physical activity to the Supreme Lord, how does one do it? And how does it start? From what level does it start? And to what level does it reach? That is explained here now, in the further verses. It says, the initial stage when people work in this world is for results. So I do something and I must get some benefit out of it. Mera kya? That's what people say. If you ask to do something, what is there in it for me? That is the first question that will come to me. So that is explained over here. So that stage of working is known as karmi. A person does karma, work, but for his own benefit. That means he is expecting a return flow. Okay. So that stage of working is known as karmi. Then the second stage, when he knows that he has to do these activities, because automatically duties come upon every individual. But in that, he is trying to take the instructions of the Vedas or the Shastras or the communication which God is making to us through the scriptures. So in that, it is always Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan Ki. So in that, generally a lot of Devi Devta worship is mentioned. If you want certain things, you worship this Devi or this Devta and you will get. And for that certain procedures are prescribed. So this is known as Karma Kanda. You do something, but in such a way as to please the head of the department or the Devi Devta in charge, so that they favor you with easy results and with quick results. Okay. So that is second stage. From karmi, simply working for results, but involving the superior authority in it, karma kanda. Above that, the next stage is karma yoga. Karma yoga means working not for just your own selfish motivation, but working as an offering to the Lord. Doing your work, but offering the results to the Lord. I will do this, but I don't want anything in return. I will do it just to please you. That is the method of working. That is known as karma yoga. Yoga means yunjate yeti yoga, to connect to the Lord through the work. And the fourth stage is, now when one begins to do that, there is two stages in that. Sakam karma. Sakam karma means doing it with some motivation. That is, okay, now I am approaching you, my Lord. I am approaching the higher authorities. But mera itna kaam kar do. I will do all this. I am doing it for your pleasure. But even then, I have got some agenda. Please fulfill this. That is sakama karma. And then there is nishkama karma. Going one step above that. Okay, I will do this, but it's entirely for your pleasure. That is the next stage, nishkama karma yoga. And then ultimately, that step by step leads one to bhakti. Bhakti means completely dedicated and surrendered to the Lord and working, offering all the fruits of one's activity to the Lord in love, not out of fear, in love. Otherwise, people generally, they say, should be God-fearing. But what we learn here is, we should be God-loving. Love God and serve God. Don't have to fear God, because He is the kindest person in the creation. Nobody can be more kinder than Him. Nobody can love you better than how He loves you. So what to fear? Just establish a relationship with Him and engage your services as an offering to Him. So in doing this, as one advances, one also realizes God, because you are doing it for the benefit of God. So in return, God gives you some benefit. First realization is the all-pervading feature of God, that is Brahman. Second realization is, just the yogis aspire for it, understand the Lord in your heart. The Lord in the heart, Paramatma. And the third realization is the ultimate realization. Understand the Supreme Personality in His complete form as a person, not just as an impersonal feature, not just as a Lord in the heart whom you cannot see, but as one who is there in charge, in command, and with whom you can reciprocate. So that, Bhagavan, that realization. So it is explained, Bhakti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakale Ashanta Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataha Eva Shanta. This is a beautiful shloka from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhakti Mukti Siddhi Kami. People work with different goals. No, not Bhakti. Bhukti, not Bhakti. Bhukti Mukti. Bhukti means one who is working to enjoy the results. Bhukti, bhog karna. Bhukti, mukti, and one who is working for liberation from this bodily entanglement, from the material entanglement. And siddhi, one who is working for perfections. I want to attain some yogic powers. Sakale ashanta, they are not peaceful, though they may achieve their goals, but they will still not be peaceful. Why? Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataha Eva Shanta. Because they still have desires. The nature of desires is, if you get what you want still more. The more you have, the more you want. That is the dilemma in this world. You are never satisfied. Somebody gets 1 crore he gets. Then he will start working for 2 crores. He will not stop at it. Chalo, I got this amount. I got a big amount. No. Let me work for more. Let me employ these funds to get more funds. This is the nature of this world. This is the nature of desires. It keeps multiplying. So he says, but Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataha Eva Shanta. But one who engages in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, what happens? Immediately, his propensity to engage in more and more, asking for more and more, that is quenched. That thirst is quenched. Nishkama. He becomes fully satisfied. That is the beauty of it. He gets satisfaction. Ataha eva shanta. And then he becomes peaceful. Then he is not disturbed anymore. So this is the beauty of bhakti. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataha Eva Shanta. And this Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, they all ultimately lead to Bhakti Yoga. That is how we have to understand these in stages. They are different rungs of the same ladder. Culmination is Bhakti. Okay. And what is the beauty of Bhakti? Once you connect to Krishna, Krishna is not a silent spectator. Please remember that. In Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, you have to use your physical muscles or you have to use your mental muscles. Soch lagao, apni dimag lagao. That's what you have to do. But in Bhakti Yoga, once you connect to Krishna, Krishna is like a loving father. When he sees that the child is trying to come to him, he takes a step forward, he goes and lifts the child and holds him in his arms. That is what Krishna does. So in Bhakti Yoga, it is like riding up the elevator. In Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, it is like climbing the staircase. In climbing the staircase, you have to put the effort. But when you get the elevator, lift, you don't have to put the effort. The lift takes you up. There is a motor, and that motor is Krishna's mercy. He pulls you up. That is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. But there is one blockade there. Bhakti Yoga is fine. But you know, whenever there is anything precious, there is always something to test you, whether you are really serious about it. It is not just kept like that. Anybody can come and pick it up. There is a stumbling block before you reach that. And what is that? That is also given in this third chapter. Lust. Lust means what? Attraction to the opposite sex. That is the simple meaning of lust. And the wider meaning of lust is attraction to anything other than Krishna. That is the wider meaning of lust. So now let us see. So now we are coming to the 38th verse, but now before that, The 5th section of this chapter is from verse number 36 to 43. That is, title of this section is Conquering the Ultimate Enemy. Once you cross over lust, then the path to Krishna is easy. Lust is the fire, Agni Pariksha one has to pass before coming to the final goal, Krishna. Lust is the enemy of spiritual advancement. Lust means attraction to the opposite sex, and spiritual advancement means attraction to Krishna. The two are mutually exclusive. That is the beauty of it. If you develop attraction to Krishna, you will be freed from the clutches of lust. It is like if you light a lamp, darkness will automatically go away. You don't have to struggle separately for it. Once you attain this, that will automatically relieve you. आपके ऊपर का वो grip will be relaxed. Arjuna's question, 36th verse, the question he is asking is, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? People find this problem in life. Even though you don't want to do things, you do certain things. Why is it? It is actually lust which is forcing you to do such things. Krishna's answer in verse number 31 is, one is impelled by lust, born of contact with the material mode of passion, later transformed into wrath, that is anger, the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. The living entity, spirit soul, is originally pure and blissful, serving the Lord, and enjoys a free will at that point of time. In the original state, the living entity, when he is not into this material entanglement, he is absolutely blissful. There is no anxiety. And at that time, he is enjoying a free will. He can choose what he wants to. When that free will is misused to enjoy separately from the Lord, Jiva is given the opportunity to lord over material nature, to come into a make-believe illusory world out of compassion of the Lord. It is like this. If the child is asking the parent, I want this chocolate. What does the father do? He will take the child into the shop, he will give him the chocolate. Isn't it? Krishna is like that loving father. When one says, I want to enjoy like you, because in the spiritual world, every living entity is serving the Lord. The pleasure is in serving, and so they don't seek pleasure in getting any service for themselves. But when that free will of the living entity to serve the Lord is misused, and he develops the thought, why should I not enjoy? Then the Lord says, okay my dear, you want to enjoy? आपको chocolate खाना है? I will give you the opportunity. So, he creates this material world in which temporary enjoyment is possible. Please remember, the enjoyment of this material world is only temporary. Therefore, the knowledgeable, the wise, do not advise to go for it. That is why they say, turn to God. Do not get caught up in this trap. It is only going to consume your energies and ultimately push you down. It is not satisfying. It doesn't satisfy. Then once one has gone through this experience, then a person begins to look for real pleasure, not temporary pleasure. And that stage, when he is looking for the truth, that is known as Brahma Jigyasa, curiosity to know the spirit, to know the truth. And then at that time the Lord reciprocates with that living entity and he guides him to bhakti or devotional service, and that path to bhakti is through karma yoga, jnana yoga and all these stages. So in this today's verse, what is Krishna explaining? He explains how the living entity is covered by lust by three different coverings. How this lust is actually covering the living entity. You have to overcome this covering of lust. Only then you will be face to face with God. So for that it is explained they are covered in three stages. So it is explained. Dhumen avrayate vanni. Dhumen means smoke. Just as smoke covers the fire, the living entity is covered, just as fire is covered by smoke. That is the beginning stage of Krishna consciousness. Progressing from passion to the mode of goodness. See, at every stage the living entity has a free will. So when one is in the mode of passion, that is Rajogun, and one desires material enjoyment, but at the same time one begins to understand that no, this is of a temporary nature, let me aspire for something better, then his Krishna consciousness is ignited like the fire is ignited. But that fire immediately has a nature that it will give rise to smoke, and that smoke now is covering the fire. So you must have seen when in olden days, now it doesn't happen, everybody is using a gas, but when people used to cook on firewood, what would happen? There would be a lot of smoke, and what they would do, they will use a long tube, cylindrical tube, and blow air into it so that the smoke is taken away, right? They blow the smoke off. Why? So that the fire can burn brightly, isn't it? So in the same way, the process to overcome that simple blockade of smoke is to gradually blow it off. So that is how mode of goodness helps one to favors one. So this is the first stage. So that is relatively, so one who is in the mode of goodness, it is explained that he can easily overcome the covering of lust. Second, mirror is covered by dust. Now when dust covers the mirror, you cannot just blow it off, because it is sticking to the mirror, it is already stuck to the mirror. So you need more effort, and some training is required to remove that dust. For one to rise from the passion to transcendence, or else one will fall into ignorance. So living entity in ignorance is helpless like the child in the womb. The child in the womb cannot move. It is like fully locked, Pura bandi bana ke rakha hai womb ke andar. Cannot move, cannot do anything. So what does the child have to do to gain some freedom? It has to wait till he is delivered. So patience is required. That's point number one. Point number two, or he has to await skilled intervention. A doctor has to come, cut open the womb, that is perform caesarean section, and remove the child from the womb. So that needs skilled and trained professionals to come and do that. In other words, to get one person out of ignorance, to raise a person to the level of transcendence, it needs the skill of a guru, skill of a sadhu, to elevate that person, help him to come out of all the coverings and rise above. Okay? Covering of the womb is very strong. It cannot be just cleaned like the dust on the mirror. It cannot be just cleaned like the smoke on the fire. It needs more effort. There's also another analogy given to this thing. These three layers that is given, or these three kinds of coverings. Another analogy is, the fire is compared to human consciousness. Only in the human body you have this human consciousness. Only in the human body you can relate to God. As an animal or as lower species you cannot relate to God. Therefore, it is explained, the right opportunity to develop Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, is available in the human form. So fire, the smoke covering the fire is considered like a human being's ignited consciousness trying to rise up and reach the level of transcendence. So for that, one needs a little help from some able personalities and again that is Guru. Okay? Then the next stage, the next point that is compared is the mirror. So consciousness of birds and beasts, the lower forms of life, not the human form of life, animals, birds, it is entangled in lust. You can see that. They work like a programmed robot. They don't have much choice. And therefore, there is another one point to be noted. When a tiger kills an animal to eat, tiger does not incur sin. Why? Because it is programmed. No freedom of choice is given to the tiger, and therefore the tiger will go on living like that. So that means from that stage to come to the level of God consciousness is more difficult. That is how it is compared. A living entity in that stage of beast or a bird, that is compared a mirror covered with dust. Okay? And the next is the embryo helplessly immersed and fully covered. The consciousness of that embryo is very, very dull. And this is covered to the consciousness of this is compared to the consciousness of a tree. Tree's consciousness is very low. Even if you cut it with an axe, it doesn't cry, it doesn't react, doesn't feel the pain. Even if there is bright sunlight, the tree can withstand, doesn't feel the heat. Even if snow is falling on the tree, it can withstand the cold also. It does not react to it. So the level of consciousness of a tree is very, very low. That is why it is explained how a human being who has given the freedom of choice has to wisely use that choice. If a human being wants to expose his body out of lust, then such a person in the next life becomes a tree. That is what is explained in the law of karma. A person who is given the choice to eat what he wants, he can eat meat or he can eat vegetarian food. He chooses to eat meat, he will go down to the level of an animal and he can hunt and eat. He is given the freedom, you can do that. And when such a person also, in the human form of life, utilizes his ability to connect to God, ignites his Brahma Jigyasa, then what happens to such a person? He is elevated to the level of Krishna consciousness, and from there he is given the facility to get liberated and become an associate of the Lord, or at least enter into the spiritual world and completely engage in the loving devotional service of the Lord. He is relieved of all anxieties. So, there are nice examples to illustrate this point. First, let us take the example of fire and the smoke. Fire and the smoke. See, Prahlad was in the womb of Kayadu, Hiranyakashipu's wife. But he was fortunate to have the mercy of a guru even at that stage, Narad Muni. So Narad Muni started speaking Bhagavatam to Prahlad even when he was in the womb. He spoke to the mother, and through the mother the child could hear it. So at the time of birth he already became a devotee. Just see, he was delivered in the womb itself. That is the benefit of getting such close association even at an early stage. So this is the example of fire can easily, overcome the covering of smoke and burn brightly. So his Krishna consciousness begins to develop very brightly. Prahlad, at the age of 5, he was preaching, and Dhruva also. Dhruva was a young boy, but even he got the association of Narad at an early stage. His determination was very strong, and he was determined to go for the highest. But he still had some contamination. What was that? He was asking for a material desire. So that was the stage of Dhruva. But that Dhruva, by potency of his devotion, he was able to rise above it. And ultimately he said, Kachin vichinnam api divya ratnam swami krithartho yasmi varam nayachi. He said that now that I have got your darshan, my Lord. I don't want any material gratification. I don't want a kingdom bigger than that of my grandfather. I just want to engage in your devotional service. But the Lord said, please take it, you asked for it, and then you will come to me. So this is how the Lord reciprocates mercifully to one who aspires to go to Him. That is how the Lord, He becomes proactive. You don't have to do much. You have to only desire, and then He does the rest. Then the next story that we will take is that of Gajendra. Gajendra was an animal, was an elephant. But when he prayed to the Lord, by virtue of his last life, in his last life he was King Indradumna. So when he came to an impossible condition in his life, he remembered his earlier prayers and he started offering prayers. What did the Lord do? He came, he rescued him, and he relieved him from the body of an animal. That means he again restored him to the human form at least. So that from where he can again progress further. So this is the example of one, the mirror on the dust on the mirror. See, so there the intervention of the Lord is there. At the same time, he gets a double promotion. He gets to rise up. He is easily pulled out. And what about that last stage, relieving from the womb of the mother? That is very difficult. That example we will see in Krishna. That Ukkal Lila, Damodar Lila, he pulls the Ukkal between two trees. The two trees are standing, the Yamalarjuna trees. Who are they? They are Nalakuvera and Manigriva. Actually they were demigods, sons of Kuvera, but they had actually misused their freedom and they had not respected a devotee like Narad Muni. And therefore they were cursed to become trees. But now that they were repenting, and they were given this benediction that you will be restored to yourself by Krishna when he comes. Till then you have to wait. So I told you, in the womb the child has to wait. You have to have patience. So here they had to wait for a very long time till Krishna came to relieve them. And then what happened? They were relieved from the body of a tree and they came to their form as demigods. And then they went back to their place in the heavenly kingdom. So just see how these analogies are so perfect and how they fit so nicely in different situations. So what do we have to do? We have to pray for able guidance under all circumstances. Under all circumstances, when we pray for able guidance, then Krishna is so merciful that he sends a guru in your life. Guru you don't get by Google search. But guru you get by soul search. You search your soul, you have to go inside and you have to beg for the mercy of the Lord. You have to actually show the Lord that you don't want to remain in this material entanglement anymore. You want to come out of this. And then the Lord arranges. He sends a guru in your life, and through the mercy of the guru then guides you to the right process, and when you follow that process, then ultimately you will be delivered in this very lifetime. That is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Guru guides you to that path of Bhakti, helps you to overcome all the obstacles on the path, and what is the final obstacle? Lust. And that is what was done earlier. Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhava mahashano mahapapman vidyena iha vairinam. Vairi means enemy. Know that this is your worst enemy in this material world. And therefore it is always explained that one who is aspiring for spiritual advancement has to give up sense gratification. If you engage in sense gratification, it is the opposite of spiritual advancement, then you cannot, your spiritual advancement is hampered. It is cut short. So therefore, all the religious processes, they advise people to abstain from negative activities and to engage in positive activities. So, and the simplest way in this age of Kali to connect to the Supreme Lord is by the rope that he is dangling from above to us below in this material world. And that rope is, he is giving his own name. His own name is given to us just by holding on to his name. That means by chanting his holy name on a regular basis as given by the Guru. What happens? You are showing your intent that I am surrendering to your instructions. Though at this point of time I am not feeling that ecstasy in the holy name, but since you are telling me that I should chant, I will continue doing that even though I may not feel the ecstasy, but having that faith that I should endeavor on this path. And when he sees that you are doing it very sincerely and conscientiously, then the Lord gradually elevates one and then gives you that realization, gives you that feeling of ecstasy, and then you develop taste to chant. Then you develop that taste, then it is like a self-generating process. It is like starting the engine. To start the engine, first you need a starter. Battery is required. That has to supply the power. The engine is given a push. And once that is done, then what happens? The ignition in the engine is happening on its own accord. And then the power is generated from within. So that is what Krishna does to us. He is helping us to go on, to get self-started and to go on a path which will be self-generating. So that will then take us to Him. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions, we can just take one or two questions. Otherwise, our kirtan party is already ready here and we can start the kirtans. If there are any questions, we will have it. Otherwise, we will start. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.